this video, I'm gonna show you how I would completely retouch my photo in Photoshop 2024. Hello photographers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Silvia. I'm a specialist in the magazine style of photography. In this channel, I talk about professional editing techniques to help you make more money with your photos. Now let's get into the video. I have two photos here that I would like to do the complete editing and show you guys what I would do. But I want to do something a little bit different. I'm going to start with this one and I might do another video for this second one. This client was a client where we wanted to take some photos for the accessories. And one thing that I'm thinking for this photo here is that the accessory, I want the accessory to be more of the attention of the photo. So I want to start doing like the basic correction with the lighting, with the color, then go through her skin, and at the end I want to do something different with the color, maybe play a little bit more with the complementary colors or maybe analogous color, something like this. That's what I'm thinking. And so I kind of want to just retouch the photo and see what we can get with this photo here. And also there's gonna be this other photo here, so I think I'm gonna do something a little bit different because now the accessories are white, and now I just want to see the results that we can get, try to do something a little bit more colorful and try to get some different results for that. So let's start, for this video, let's start with this photo here. The first thing that I would do is to do a basic correction with the lighting and with the color. So I'm just gonna be here on the develop tab. I like to start my process in Lightroom. And I already started actually the process. I'm just gonna go back here. This is the version of the photo from the camera. And the first thing that I like to do when I'm working in Lightroom is to reduce a little bit of the contrast with the light, because I feel like it is easier for me to retouch the skin later on Photoshop. Another thing that I like that it has something to do with my photography identity is that I don't like the dark areas to be too dark. So I always go up with the blacks and I bring some more light to the dark areas. And also I tend sometimes to go up with the shadows to bring even more light, and go down with the whites and with the highlights. Again, I'm removing a little bit of the contrast, so here's the before and here's the after. I like to have this kind of feeling for my photo that has a little bit of less contrast just when I'm starting to edit the photo, because again, I feel like it's easier to blend the skin tones later on Photoshop. And I like to recover all the contrast that I'm losing right now. I like to recover later, adding some contrast with colors and contrast with lighting on Photoshop. So for this, I think I'm good with the lighting so far. Let me just see the temperature of the photo, maybe a little bit more towards the yellow. I think here is pretty good. Before and after. I think this is really good for me. I have nothing else that I want to do here on Lightroom. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this photo in Photoshop. Now we have our photo in Photoshop, and the first thing that I like to do is to work on the skin retouch. So I already have an action for the skin retouch here because it's something that I do all the time. So I would just click on the action that I have and start the process with skin retouch. But I want to show the step-by-step that I take to actually do this technique. I use the frequent separation for that, and it's very easy to do. The first thing that I like to do is never work to the background layer. So this layer here, I like to have this background layer to be a layer where I can see how far I'm going with my retouching. So, and also as in a backup as well, because if I do something wrong or I want to go back to any step, instead of just going through the history, sometimes I don't have enough history to go back to whatever it is that I want to. I always have the original version of the photo here for just in case. So right now, for us to start the skin retouch technique, I'm just gonna duplicate this layer twice, and for that, I just press Command J on the keyboard. I'm gonna rename the first layer here with tones, and the second layer is gonna be our texture. So the frequency separation, if you don't know, is just creating two different layers where you are separating the texture from the tones. So that means that when you're working on the tones means more the colors and the lighting, the contrast on the skin, you can mix this part without affecting the texture. So that's why the frequency separation is a really good technique for you to use on your portraits. So I'm gonna select both layers and I'm gonna press Command G and put them on a folder. And now I'm gonna rename this to Skin Retouch. Okay, and now what I'm gonna do is to apply the blur, the Gaussian blur in the tones layer. So I'm gonna go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm gonna take a look at her face. And right here, you want to choose a number that it's going to blur a little bit of her skin to the point that you start seeing that the texture, you don't see as much details on it, on her skin, like the texture is a little bit disappearing. However, you don't want a really high number, like where you can see that the whole skin tone is mixed, but you don't see her face, you don't see the lines of her face, the kind of the shape of her face very well. You still want to have details on her face. So I'm gonna go back to 0, and 0 is like there's no effect here. And I'm gonna start slowing going up, and what I'm looking at is, for example, this area here, when she start removing, losing a little bit of the texture. I don't want it to lose it completely, I just want it to lose a little bit. And I think that for this photo here, this number 6 is pretty good. So I'm gonna press OK. And now I'm gonna go to the texture layer, and what we wanna do is to get only what we removed from the tones layer. So in the tones layer, we removed all the bumps, like the texture, the fine details. And what we want to do is to have our texture layer just to have that details. So for that, we are going to go to Image, Apply Image. And here on Layer, we need to choose the layer where we are applying the texture layer, which layer we are applying this texture layer. So this texture layer is going to be applied to the tones layer. So we are going to change the layer here and choose the tones layer, that it's the layer below the texture. And now we are going to choose the blending mode to subtract. Opacity is going to be 100%, scale is 2, and offset is 128. So you're going to press OK, and you're going to see that you have gray layer that has only some details. You can see like the details of the photo. So everything that it was missing on the tones layer now is being applied in the texture layer. But we still want to see the photo like normal. So we're going to change the blending mode here of the texture layer to linear light. So right here. And now if I stop visualizing the folder Skin Retouch, we can see that the photo, nothing changed. Okay, so that's what we want to do. And to start, we are going to be working first with the tones layer. And what I like to do is to duplicate the tones layer. So I'm going to press Command J. I'm going to write here tones 2. And I just like to have a backup of the layer, again, in case I've done something wrong and I didn't see it and pass it and I cannot go back on the history. I have like another layer that I can always go back to. And what we want to do with the tones layer, I'm going to start visualizing the texture so I can actually see what I'm working with on the layer. What we want to do is just to blend a little bit more the different tones of her face, the the difference between the lighting, that it goes from the highlights to the middle tones, and then from middle tones to the dark areas. That's the things that we want to blend. However, you don't want to remove completely her lightings and shadows on her face, because you still want her to have her contours, to have volume on her face. So we are gonna go to the brush here, and we are gonna select the mixer brush. And what this tool does, I'm just gonna show you here. I'm just blending everything that's in the photo. I'm just blending. And this is what it does. It just mix everything on the photo. It's just kind of creating a little bit of blur in your photo. So I'm gonna press Command Z here so I can go back. And what you wanna do is get close. For example, I like to start, for some reason, I like to start on the forehead. So here on the forehead, I'm just gonna go in small circles. So I'm gonna press, I work with a pen. You might be working with a mouse, I don't know. If you do not have a pen, I highly recommend you to work with a pen, but this is gonna be way easier with the pen than the mouse. But the idea is for you to do a click, and I like to do a motion of a circle and then let it go. That's it. It's one motion, and then I keep doing it, another one and another one and another one. And let me just go back. And you can see that you start blending the tones and the skin very well. But you wanted to do something that it's soft. You don't want something that it's like this. Oopsie. That's going to be like this. When now her face is starting to look like a very fake skin. Let me show you how it looks like. So it looks weird. So let me go back here. What you want to do is just to blend small pieces of small areas of her skin, and just take some time to do this. So for example, I can see here that she has, this part here is a little bit darker, and around we have a little bit more of a middle tone with some lighting. So I just want to make this area a little bit softer so you don't see this weird tones and kind of like different lightings on her face. So that's what you want to do. So I'm just gonna go on her skin, around her forehead and all of her face, kind of doing this motion with the circle. And it's something pretty light, pretty easy to do. Again, with the pen, it's easier than it would be with the mouse. And right here we have some hair. So if we go and take a look at the photo, we have some hair right here and a little bit darker skin area because of the hair. What I want to do is that I don't want this here, I don't want this part here to be that dark. So one thing that I like to do sometimes, instead of just making this circle motions, I like to bring some color of skin and add it where I want this dark area to get out. So I'm just gonna push this skin color here, and you can see that I removed the dark area. And now I'm just gonna fix a little bit of the tones on her forehead, around here close to her head, around here close to her hair. And I'm just gonna keep going now. And again, always be careful to not bring, for example, the dark areas to the highlights like this. Just be careful to still keeping her contour, her shadows, the lighting. So just be careful with that. And just doing like small circles is perfect for you to mix without blending and, you know, dragging too much of the lighting and getting a lot of things wrong. Now that I'm going to the neck, there is another motion that I like to do when I'm working with the skin retouch as well. That instead of doing circles, there are some lines here. For example, I can see that there is a lighter line here from her neck that's coming from the things that we have in our neck. And I don't want to lose this volume here and ended up just making like a flat neck like this. This looks horrible and very fake. I still want to keep the vein or whatever it is that we have here on the neck. So I'm just going to go back here. Let me see. Okay. And what I like to do, because it is kind of in a straight line, instead of doing the circle movements, I would just like to go up and down. And this is already gonna make our tones to mix a little bit, and it's gonna create a softer skin for our client here. So it's just something for you to pay attention. I do a lot of like going up and down on the arms, on the legs, because I want to keep the light of the way that the light is hitting on the legs, normally on the legs, on the arms. It's normally in a straight line. So you just want to keep that lighting there. You don't want to remove the volume of the person's body. And for example, on the nose is the same thing here. There's this lighting here, and I want to keep this lighting here. And for that, I just do like straight lines, and right here on the nose as well. I just like to keep like some straight lines. So I don't do circle all the time. The majority of the time I'm doing the circle motions. However, when I have something that it's more like in a straight line, I would do just straight lines. But it's something that I press, do up and down, and let it go. Press again, do up and down, let it go. I don't press and stay there doing like this, because then you're mixing a lot of things and start looking fake and weird. Okay. One more thing that I like to do, since I'm already using this tool, is to work a little bit on the lipstick or on the lips, and also on the eyebrow sometimes, because for example, in this case here, I can see that her eyebrow, in the beginning of the eyebrow, it doesn't have a lot of the color, it's kind of fading. So what I do is to drag the color that I have here in the middle, that's a little bit more filled and darker. So I like to bring this tone of the color a little bit to the beginning here for the eyebrow. And now I'm making this to be a little bit more filled with the color. Just like to make something that's kind of smooth, a little bit at the end here as well. And again, I'm not concerned because we are not working with the texture, so we're still gonna see the hair of her eyebrow. And I'm gonna do the same thing here to the other side, just making a little bit better transition. And also here on the lips, so I'm gonna get a little bit closer. Kind of even looks good. Just wanna mix a little bit better the tones here of her lips. Again, I don't want to necessarily remove the lines here that I see from that it's the shape of her lips, but I just want to try to, I want to keep this. I just want to try to make, just to blend a little bit more of the color though. Okay. And it's looking better for me. Perfect. So here's the before. Let's see the before and after only working in this tones layer. So here's the before and here's the after. Before and after. We did a huge change on her skin already just with the tones, just working with the tones. And now I'm gonna bring back the texture. And here's with the texture. So let's go closer here and see. I'm gonna get close to forehead. For the forehead, and we can see here, for example, this is the before and this is the after. Before and after. Now we can see like she still have all her texture on her skin, and but it's just a better mix like of the tones, and that's why it gives a beautiful skin for her face. Many times I don't even work on the texture. I don't even fix anything unless there's something that's very, very huge here that I need to fix. But most of the times I would not do anything with the texture. I'm gonna do for this photo just to show you things that you can do to fix a little bit more of the texture. But I like to keep the texture kind of how it is, so it is a little bit more realistic and similar to what it actually is. But we can do some cleaning here as well. So with the texture, we can use the spot healing brush. I like to use a lot of this option here, where you just go through whatever it is that you wanted to remove. For example, the hair here. And there you go. You don't need to do anything. Another tool that I like to use sometimes as well is the patch tool, where I'm going to select what I want to remove. And I'm gonna drag to the area that I think that they should, that I think that Photoshop should read the material, the texture that's in here, and just reply to that place. And there we go, it disappeared as well. For this time, I think I'm just gonna go with the spot healing brush. I like to do like a small brush to grab like just the area that I want. And I'm just gonna correct a few things here on the texture. Remember that part here that I made it lighter of her hair? Here's the before and after. Let me get a little bit further away, before and after. So one thing that I can do is just to remove a little bit of the hairs in here. But I think that this is pretty good. And here's the before and after. So I don't have a lot that I would like to do here on her forehead, because I like to have this more realistic texture. But I'm just gonna go in the photo. I can remove this hair here. I'm just gonna go in the photo and try to see things that I can remove. Oh, one thing that's good as well that I can remove, it is the veins that we have in the eye. So we can do this right now. And I'm just gonna remove a few spots here, but I don't think I have a lot to remove. Another thing that I like to do as well is to work the texture on the lips. I don't like to remove, I don't do remove too much, but there are few parts here that sometimes is even from the lipstick, the texture that I like to remove. I think that for the lips, this is good. Yeah, look at the difference before and after. This is good. Okay. And I think, let me show you the eyebrow as well for us to see the difference here. Can remove these lines here. So here's the before and after with the eyebrow. You can see that, for example, this part here, the before and after is a little bit more filled with the color, but the hair is still there. It didn't remove any of the texture of the hair. So for the skin retouch, this is it. Now what I want to do is to add a little bit of texture on her face. I think actually her texture is pretty good. It's not like we lost a lot of her texture, but I'm gonna add a little bit more texture on her face, and I want to show you how you can do that. So for that, I'm gonna create a new layer, and I'm gonna go to Edit, Fill. We are gonna do 50% gray, hit OK. I'm gonna change this layer here to Convert to Smart Object, because we are gonna add some filter in this layer, and I wanna be able to change the settings of the filter if I need to. So let's go now to Filter Gallery here. You're gonna select Texture and Texturizer, and right here in the kind of texture, you're going to select Sandstone. We are gonna hit, you can see here that, let me just go up. This is creating like pattern of like some kind of like texture, and that's gonna be the texture that we wanna add in the model's face. I'm gonna just select like bigger scale. Imagine that this is the pore of the skin, the texture of the skin. So we want to match the real texture of her skin in the photo. And I'm just going to choose a number here that I think that it reminds me of the texture of her skin. And here in the light, you can say where the light is coming from. So for example, the lighting in my photo was coming more kind of from the top left. I'm gonna say like this, I don't want to invert. So you can see that the light changes regarding the option that I choose here, right? So this is something pretty cool. So I'm gonna hit OK for now. And what I'm going to do is create a mask, change this mask to black because I wanna hide the mask. So Command I, and I wanna change the blending mode to soft light. And now I'm gonna get closer to her face. I'm gonna select the brush tool. I'm gonna select on the mask. I'm gonna leave opacity of 100%. And I'm just gonna paint here close to her face. And we can see that the texture that I added to her face does not match the texture, the real texture of the photo. So what I'm going to do now is to actually go back to the filter here. I can see that the texture is way too strong. Of course that we are gonna also play with the opacity of the layer. So I can go with opacity 0 and just go bring up a little bit of the opacity. But I think that the texture might be a little bit big to the actual texture on her skin. So I'm just gonna go back here. I'm gonna double click on the filter gallery. And now you can switch and change the numbers that you select for the scale and for the relief. So I think the texture is too strong, so I'm just gonna lower a little bit of the number here of the relief. And I think that it might be a little bit too big, so I'm gonna reduce the scale here. Now I'm gonna press OK. And you can see that the texture already changed. I don't see as much of the texture, so I'm gonna go up with the opacity. I'm gonna go 100% just so we can see the texture. And I feel like now it's a little bit more similar to her texture. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use this number of texture. I'm just gonna paint where I wanted to apply the texture. Not all the time you need to apply in the whole skin, but you can just go where you think that it needs the texture. So for example, I can see that it has a bunch of texture here, and I just wanna add a little bit more around here. And of course that this is kind of like too harsh. Now I'm thinking, now that I'm comparing with the texture on her forehead, I think that the scale is a little bit small, so I'm actually gonna go back again to filter, and I'm gonna just make it a little bit bigger, the texture. And it already changed, so I think now it's looking a little bit better. And I wanted to add it a little bit there. I wanted to add a little bit here as well. Let me make sure that I'm selecting the mask. Just want to add here a little bit more. Her nose as well. Nothing too crazy. This part here of her face is more on focus than this part here. So that's why I want this part to have a little bit more details, and this part here, I don't care as much. So now what I'm going to do, I think that this is good. What I'm going to do is just to lower the opacity, and slightly, I'm just gonna bring up. I think that was too much, let me do it again. Let me get closer. So you can see just a little bit. So let me go up a little bit more. Okay, I think that this is pretty good. It's nothing too crazy because she already has the texture on her face. It just gives a little bit more of texture, especially for example, this part here, that it almost seemed that there was no texture in this part here. This is the before, and here's after with the texture. Let's see on her nose. This is pretty good. And let's see on her forehead. Okay, I think that this is pretty good. And I don't want to add texture. Let me see her chest. I can add some texture here as well. What I'm gonna do actually is go back. I'm gonna lower the opacity. And I'm gonna add some texture here, because this part here is supposed to be a little bit more blurred. And I'm gonna do on her neck as well, just this part here. And this is good. Okay, this is perfect. Now here's the before and after, before and after, before and after. It looks way better. What we need to do now is to correct the skin tone and the lighting on the skin, because it is not very good. If we pay attention here to her face, this part of her face, so she has a lot of makeup, she has contour, so it is lighter. And this part here, for example, it is a little bit darker, and also because it's darker, is a little bit more saturated than her face. It seems like her face doesn't have as much of the color that it has here on the chest and on the neck. And also this part here of the forehead, we can see that, I think it is probably the contour of the makeup, we can see that it has a little bit more of redness, and I wanted to reduce a little bit of that redness. So I wanted to make the color of her skin a little bit more in harmony with the whole body, like the face and the chest area. So there are two things that I want to correct here, the lighting and the color. So the first thing that I'm going to do, we are going to still keep working in the skin retouch. I want to create a layer to change the color of her skin to make it a little bit better, right in between the tones and the texture, because here we are working with the tones, right? So we are talking about lighting, we are talking about the colors. So the layer that I wanted to create is right in between the texture and the tones, because we are still just working with we are just affecting the tones and the lighting of her skin. So I'm gonna create here hue saturation layer. Let's try first with this option here, and I want to fix a little bit the color of the chest here. So I'm gonna choose this hand, I'm gonna select here a color, and what this hand is doing right now is just saying that this color is in the channel red. So I'm gonna select, leave the channel red selected, and I'm just gonna totally change the color here in the hue, just so I can see what is being selected with the red, where we actually have the color red. And right here in the range, I want to remove the colors that I already think that are the colors that I don't want to change. So for example, the colors on her face, and I kind of wanted to focus in that redness that I'm seeing on her body. So I'm gonna remove, just like make this range that is being selected here. I'm just gonna reduce the range of the colors here, and we are gonna start seeing that something is now being deselected from the range. So I can see that I'm removing the area that I wanna to actually select. I'm removing from the selection. So I wanted that part to be selected, and I wanted to remove then the red areas. So you can see that now I'm starting to remove this part here of her face, and I'm just selecting the parts that have more of the other colors that it wasn't working very well for me, and that's what we want to leave here. So I think here, how it is, it works pretty well. I can see that I'm also selecting the background here, and we wanted to remove that selection from the background. So what I'm going to do is, first, I'm gonna correct the skin here. So I'm gonna go with the hue back to 0, and slightly, something very slightly, I'm gonna just pay attention to the neck here and the chest and compare to the face. So I'm gonna change a little bit of the hue of the color on her chest. So I'm gonna, if I go to the left, it's gonna be more with the red color. And if I go to the right, I'm making a little bit more yellow going towards the green. So let's see here. Very slightly. I think 1 is good, and I'm just gonna reduce a little bit of that saturation. Now I'm gonna see the before and after to see how far I've gone. And I think that now it's looking way better. I'm gonna just go back a little bit with the saturation. I think that -10 is good. So let's see, before and after. Before and after. It's something that's very light. I don't know if you can see very well from there, but there are some changes in the colors. And you can also see here on the forehead. Let me get even closer. Before and after. Before and after. And it's just like very, very subtle change. So now what I want to do, I am going to select the area here of the background. And I'm just going to remove it from the mask here because it was being selected, the area was being selected, remember? So I'm just removing because I just want to actually work on her skin. So here's the before and after. That's looking very good. Now we are going to create a gradient map. And with the gradient map, what we're going to do is kind of select some colors of the skin and try to make everything just to be a little bit more in harmony with the colors. So now I'm gonna press here. So when we create the layer, automatically the mask section is selected. So I'm gonna click actually on the gradient tool here. And what I wanna do is to invert this mask and go back here to the gradient map. And I'm gonna select here a color that I'm seeing on her skin. So I'm gonna select like a part that's very light on her skin, so probably here on the cheekbone. And now with the other triangle here, and now with the other color here, I'm gonna select something that's a little bit more darker to her skin, so here. And I'm also going to select something that it's in the middle tones, that's not light, not dark, and I'm probably going to select something around here. I think this is good. I'm gonna hit OK. We can make some changes later. I'm gonna hit OK. And I'm just gonna do a rough selection of her body here, of her skin. I'm gonna remove the jacket. It's okay if it's not perfect. I'm gonna make it better later with the brush, but this is just to help us to start here the selection. I'm gonna press Command I. Now we have a pretty good start for us to actually work with the skin. I'm gonna get closer and I'm just gonna make a little bit better selection with the brush, removing what we don't want. So I'm gonna go opacity 100%. And because we are working with a mask, we are always working with the black and white colors, where the black, you are hiding the effect to not see the parts that you don't want the effect, and the white is going to show up the effect. So right now I have the black selected and I want to remove this part from her clothes, from her outfit, and I want to go around here just to make the transition a little bit better. And I can see that I'm painting her jacket. So now I'm gonna go back with the black. I'm gonna reduce a little bit of the hardness. And I'm just gonna remove here from the jacket. And I'm gonna do, I think this side, oh, there is something here that I need to remove. I think this side is pretty good. Here around her hair, we need to make this softer. I need to remove from the eye, from the lips, from the eyebrow, Okay, now that our selection is better, it looks very weird, the color, but because it's not, everything is not adjusted all the way yet, so we are gonna change this blending mode from normal to color, because that's what we want with the gradient map, is just to adjust the color of her skin. And of course that this is way too much, but before working on the opacity, because we're gonna lower the opacity here, let's make sure that this color is good, that you like the color, the tones of the color for her skin. So for me, so now I am going to just adjust a little bit more of this color here. I think I want to reduce a little bit of the saturation of this color. Let me see. For me, I think this is really good, and it's also bringing some saturation, some pop to her skin. So I think that the color is good, but if for you the color is not good, you can always go back here and tweak a little bit more of the colors. I'm gonna leave that color how it is. I'm gonna lower the opacity to 0. So here's, and now I'm gonna slightly just go up. And this is something that I don't do too much. I think that 25 is the maximum that I will go. And let's see here on her face really quick. I think a little bit more for this photo. Let me see, before and after. Okay, now I can see that we have a good adjustment. So 35 is really good. Now what is missing is correcting a little bit of the lighting on her chest. That's a little bit different from her neck. So for that, I'm just gonna create a curved layer, and I'm just gonna go up a little bit with the layer. I'm gonna hide the mask, and I'm gonna go with the brush. I'm gonna go with opacity of probably 10, and I'm gonna just slightly start painting. Oops, go back. Make sure that I am in the right mask, make sure that I have the right color here, the white, because I wanna show the effect. So I'm just gonna slightly just bring some light here on her neck. And you can see how far you wanna go with this. And we can always go here and adjust a little bit more of the lighting. Now I think that it's looking better, it's matching better the lighting on her face. And I think this is good. I'm gonna lower the opacity just a little bit. I think 85 is good. Let me see, before and after. And this is perfect. So now let's just see the before and after with the skin retouch and with the color correction of the skin. So here's the before, here's the after. Before and after. It's perfect. It's looking very good. We still have the texture on her face. We can get closer here and we can see the before and after is looking way better. It has this magazine style. Now the next step that we need to do is work on the volume of her face to give her a little bit more of that 3D look. And for that, we are going to use the dodge and burn technique. I also have an action for that, but I want to show you the step-by-step that I do in the whole process of editing the photo. First, I like to do the dodge and burn, like in a general idea for the photo, and then I like to do a little bit more specific in few details. So for that, I'm going to start creating 2 curves. The first one's going to be our dodge. And I'm just gonna bring this up. I'm gonna changing the blending mode for luminosity. And the idea of the dodge and burn is for you to bring more light to the parts that you wanted to show more and darken out the areas that you wanted to hide more. So this is our dodge. I'm gonna go here and change the mask to black. So press Command I. And I'm gonna duplicate this layer, and this layer is gonna be our burn. And now I'm gonna go down with the curve. I'm gonna put both of them in a layer. So just select both layers and press Command G. And now I'm gonna write here, dodge and burn. Perfect. And now we are gonna, I like to start working with the dodge, and I'm gonna use the brush tool. I'm gonna have 10% opacity. I think it is good. It might be a little bit too much, so we are gonna test and see. So I'm thinking more about the makeup part. Where do you use the concealer, and also where do you use the contours? So normally the concealer, we use it a lot here under the eye. I'm gonna even create a layer here just to, let me get a color. I'm gonna get a blue color. So what we do is normally this area here, let me go 100%. I just wanna show you what I wanna do with the dodge and burn. So this part here is normally where we use the concealer, in the nose, normally the forehead, sometimes here as well. So this is just knowing a little bit more of makeup. And another color now, gonna do pink. This part here where it's pink is where we use the contour to make it darker areas. So sometimes this is how it is, here in the forehead, around the nose. And I think this is pretty much it. And I want you to know that and understand that of the makeup, because this is really useful for when you're doing the dodge and burn. However, for this photo, we also need to think that she has her head a little bit to the side. So even though that the makeup, we have the contours and the concealer in this part of her face, we also need to think about the lighting. So for example, I can see here, I'm gonna go back with the blue. I can see here that she has some spots that are lighter on her face, and I want us still to keep that spot. So on her nose, even though that it's in the middle that we use the concealer, and normally at this part here around the nose, like the edge of the nose is the part that we use the contour, I can see that she has lighting right here. So I wanted to accentuate the lighting here. So everything that it has like some highlight and lighting, like here, like right here, I also want to accentuate this. And we have it here as well, and here. And this is something that it's very easy for you to see. And another thing that we can do before we even start working, I'm gonna just, actually, let me just leave these layers here. So we can see later when we actually start applying the dodge and burn. Another thing that we can do here is create a guide so we can see the lighting, where the lighting is hitting her and where we are supposed to apply a little bit more of the dodge and burn to make it more realistic. So what I'm going to do is create a layer here that's black and white, because sometimes the color makes us it makes us harder to understand where the lighting is actually hitting. So I'm just gonna create this layer black and white, and I'm gonna create a curve layer. And in this curve layer, I just gonna make it a little bit darker, because when I'm making darker, you can see where the light is, where it is hitting more. So you know that in the parts exactly where I was, exactly the points that I was painting before, that I was showing you, you can see that it is the area that you wanted to bring the light, that you wanted to intensify the dodge. So what I like to do is kind of go a general dodge and burn with the curves, and then create a different layer with a different blending mode where I like to intensify those areas here where we have the highlight. Okay, so I know that I'm talking a lot. Let's put these layers together here. We don't need to go that far, just so you can kind of see better. You can even create more contrast as well. Whatever, it will help you to see where you need to paint on the face, you can do with the curved layers. Normally, I feel like just going darker with the curved layer helps. But I'm gonna put both of this layer, the black and white and the curves, in a new layer. and I'm gonna write guide. And this is just to help us to see where we need to be painting. So now I'm gonna put both of this layer inside of guide as well. Now what I wanna do, I like to start with the dodge. I'm gonna select the brush tool. I'm gonna have opacity of 10. I think that this is a good opacity to start. It might be a little bit too much, and you can always reduce the opacity. So in the dodge here, the first thing that I want to do, I wanted to think a little bit more about the general idea of the makeup. So it is more about this one here, where we actually use the concealer. So we have the concealer here under her eye that we normally have, it is where we have that panda look, the dark circles. And if I go back here, if I stop visualizing this layer, I can see that here it is a little bit dark, and I don't want it to have this part to be dark. So what I'm going to do is in the dodge, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna paint this area here and make it a little bit lighter. Let's make sure that we have our correct color here. So I wanna show something on the mask, so I need the white color. Okay, now let's just slightly paint the area that is dark. And let's see here, before and after. Look at the difference. I think that 10 is a little bit too intense, so I'm actually gonna go to 5, and I'm gonna go back here, and I'm just gonna start painting again because I thought it was too much. So I'm just gonna go here and painting this area. Okay, perfect. I don't want to go too much, just want to make it lighter. And now I'm gonna just go really quick with like the idea of the triangle here on her face. Yep, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, but not too much because the other side is supposed to be a little bit darker, right? Perfect. Now I'm gonna do just one touch here on the forehead, nothing too much, just to bring some light here. And I'm gonna do right here as well, but just like one, and that's it. That's good. And I'm gonna do here just a little bit. I'm gonna do on the lips because I know that we have some lighting here. And I'm gonna do on the nose. And every part that I see that it is a little bit lighter, I know that under the eyebrow, we tend to do a little bit lighter as well with the makeup. I can see here on the forehead. And this part here of her cheek, where we have the highlight in the makeup. Another thing that I'm gonna go really quick, not too much, is with the eye as well. This part, and a little bit more this part as well. I think this is good. So here's the before and after, before and after. So it's something that it's just a little bit general. I think I'm gonna do a little bit more here. Now I'm gonna go to the burn. And the burn, we wanna see where it is, where we have the contour of the face when we are doing the makeup, and also how the lighting is hitting on her face. So it's kind of the same thing. I know that this part here is supposedly to be darker. And we can see here. I like to go also around the face here that's in the dark, just to create a little bit more contour. I like to do it here. I'm gonna go this part of her nose. I also like to do the eyebrow a little bit, just in this part that it was lighter. I'm gonna do the forehead here. And on the cheek, I've done the cheek actually on the chin. This part here, I like to make it darker. So it hides a little bit of the double chin. If your client has a double chin, And now I'm gonna kind of go to the body. This part here, I like to make a little bit darker as well. And I'm gonna go back with the dodge, and I'm just gonna make this part a little bit lighter on the chest, nothing too much. And I'm gonna remove the guide now, and here's the before and after. Before and after. So see, something very light, not too intense. If you want something more intense, just keep going. Just have a bigger opacity as well on your brush. I think I can make this part a little bit darker here. I'm just gonna accentuate a little bit more. But I think it's looking pretty good before and after. This is perfect. And now what I want to do is to create another layer because I wanted to intensify even more the highlights of her face. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to change the blending mode to overlay. And this layer, I really like to work more with the makeup, the eyes, and again, the point of the highlights. So I'm gonna go and have black and white. We're gonna go with black and white, and the black is going to make darker areas, so like here, and the white is gonna make lighter. Of course that this is very intense, so we are gonna go lower. I'm gonna go with 5% opacity, and I'm just gonna go start with the white. I'm gonna start in the eye, getting a little bit closer, and I just wanna make this a little bit lighter here. I love making this part of the eye a little bit lighter as well, and a little bit of the side. And now I'm gonna go to the other eye. I'm gonna make a little bit lighter. Can get a little bit further away. Just to bring some more light. Now I'm gonna do the makeup here. Now I'm gonna start working with the black parts, and one thing that I like to do here on the using the black is to actually go in the whole makeup once or twice, like here and here, because I feel like intensifies the color of the makeup, and lower under the eye. And I like to go on the eyelashes as well, and also this part here, just to make it a little bit more intense. And let's do the eyelashes down here. Now I'm gonna go to the other eye. I'm gonna do the same thing. Another thing that I like to do is around the eye and here in the middle. So right here, it's just creating a little bit more of a contrast. And I'm gonna slightly work a little bit here on the eyebrow as well, the beginning of the eyebrow. This is good. All right, so here's our before and after. If you think that it is too strong, you can always lower the opacity a little bit and see the before and after. Because I like my photos very intense with the contrast here on the face, more like very magazine, not to look necessarily like a realistic texture and body. I like this idea of be more like very intense. I think that 100% for me is good, but you can always lower the opacity in the layer and do what it feels right for you. Another thing that I like to do sometimes as well is here on the lips. The before and after. So here's the before and after of the dodge and burn. Before and after, before and after, and here's the before and after with the whole skin retouch, the color correction of the skin, the lighting correction on the skin, and the dodge and burn. Before and after, before and after. Now we are starting to have this magazine look, which is exactly what I love doing on my photos. Now, one thing that I want to do that it's something that it's bothering me a little bit is just to work a little bit more on the eyebrow and bring a little bit more of the hair in the eyebrow, or the feeling that we have some hair in here in the beginning of the eyebrow. So what I'm going to do is to create a new layer, and we are going to be working with the brush tool. I'm gonna change the mode here for one that's hard round. Actually, this one here, yeah, hard round pressure size, because it has more of the shape of, like, it's thinner, so it has more of the shape of the hair instead of the circle brush. And I want something to be very hard. And we are gonna start with a very, very small brush, like 1 or 2. I think that 2 might be better. And I'm gonna select a color here of her eyebrow already. And I'm just gonna start, I'm gonna go with opacity of 100, let me see. And I'm just gonna start creating some hairs. I think that this is a little bit small. Let me just go 3. And let me get a darker color. Yeah, I think that's too light, so I'm just gonna get an even darker color. And I'm just gonna create some hairs here just to make it a little bit more, just to fill up a little bit more of her eyebrow. I'm also gonna select another color here. I'm gonna almost go to black, and I'm gonna select a different size of a brush. Now I'm gonna select 5. Let me see. Okay, this is definitely way too much. I'm gonna lower the flow a little bit more, 20%. Perfect. And I'm just gonna try to make on the direction where her eyebrow is. And I'm gonna change the color again. Just pick different colors and start creating some hairs. I'm gonna do a little bit here at the end as well. And I think that this is better. This is looking good. Now I'm gonna do the same thing the other side. I'm gonna go up with the flow here. 40. Gonna go up a little bit more. And I'm gonna select a darker color now. too much. Okay, now I'm gonna reduce the flow a little bit and just play with it and see what you can get. I think this is pretty good. Another thing that's bothering me a little bit, let me, if I create some hairs around here. Okay, I think that that's better. I'm gonna create some hairs here as well. Okay. And let's see. So here's the before and after the eyebrow, before and after. Now it's looking better. It looks like she has more hair there. Now what I want to do is to make the lipstick or the lips a little bit more like having a better ending, a better finishing. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to change for lips. And I want the edge of the lips to have a better finishing. And also I can see that it's missing a little bit of color here at the end of her lips. So I'm gonna first change the blending mode to color. And I'm gonna add some color in this area here. So I'm gonna use brush. I'm gonna have a flow of 10%. I'm gonna choose a color that's close to the part that I want to paint, and I'm just gonna start painting this area here a little bit. Here's the before and after, and I'm not seeing anything. I'm in the wrong blending mode, that's why. So let me just go back here and let me start painting again. Color, there we go. Color, there we go. Painting here. Okay, now it's looking better. So here's the before and here's the after. And now I am gonna create another layer, and this one is lips color, because we're adjusting the colors. Now we are gonna adjust the lips. And for that, I'm gonna use the stem tool or the clone tool. And what I wanna do is that from the inside of her lips, I'm just gonna make this edge a little bit crispier. So I'm gonna start doing that from the inside of the lips and from the outside with the skin. So just so you understand what I'm saying, I am gonna copy something here on her lips, very close to the edge, and I'm just gonna paint and make this line a little bit, yeah, just a little bit stronger and more crispy. I think I went too much right there. Okay, let me see. This is looking better. Let me just correct a few things here. And for that, you want to have a brush that's not very soft and not very hard necessarily. So here I have 60%, which I think it's great. My opacity is 50, my flow is 70. And I think that these settings are really good right now. And I'm gonna also do on the outside now. And I can see that I have some hairs around here, so let me just clean this as well. I think this is good. And I'm gonna do to the rest of her lips as well, so all over her lips. And now on the bottom. And I'm just adjusting a few texture here on the lips, and I think this is looking pretty good. Okay, so here's the before and after. Before and after. So we just made it a little bit better of finishing on the lips, so this is pretty good. And I'm actually gonna make it better here as well. Yeah, look at the difference before and after. Amazing. So this is pretty good. I think that for the details here, we are doing pretty good. So here's the before and after so far with the skin retouch, color correction on the skin, the dodge and burn, and the details. Before and after. Before and after. Look how we transformed this photo. Now another thing that I want to fix as well is the hair. The hair is not really good in the photo here. So two things that I want to do is to correct a little bit of the finishing of the hair, and also bring a little bit more volume to the hair. But then this part we are going to do with Liquify, and then when we go to the Liquify correction, we are also going to correct a little bit of the body as well. But now let's just correct a little bit of her hair. Another thing that I'm seeing now is like the shirt has a bunch of a little bit of a dust, and this is something that I also will want to correct next. So let's just start with the hair. So for that, I'm gonna start with the Stop Healing brush, and I want to correct this hair here. I need to have sample all layers selected. So I'm gonna correct anything that is just dragging a lot of attention, that it's not very good. So she has some white dots around here. Correct that, and here. Okay, now I'm gonna correct the more of the outside. Let me correct this here as well. Now I'm gonna correct and clean a little bit of the outside. So for that, I'm gonna go with the stamp tool as well. I'm gonna have 50% of the hardness. And I think that the setting of opacity and flow is pretty good. So I'm gonna start with this setting and see how it works. So I'm gonna start with this part here. Something very easy and fast to clean. And I think that for this photo, I'm gonna remove this part here of the hair. So let me just go with the stamp tool, and I'm gonna go up with the opacity. I think 80% is good. I'm just gonna remove this now. This part here. I think this hair as well, it's not very good. One thing that I can do is just try to fill out this part. And I think now this is better. It makes more sense. It's not like it's alone there. I can fill out this part here as well. Okay, and now I'm gonna clean outside again. Gonna remove all of this part here of her hair as well. So let's see from further away now. It's looking way better. Look at this before and after, before and after. So it has a better finishing to her hair, but I still think that we can work this better. I think I'm gonna try to fill up here, a little bit of the hair. Let's see. Before and after, this is good. This is great. I'm gonna put all the layers together. So now let's see the before and after of all the details that we have worked here. It was the hair, the lipstick, and the eyebrow. So let me even get closer to the area that we were working with. And here's the before, and here's the after. Before and after working the details on the hair, the lipstick, and the eyebrow. It does make a huge difference. Now what I want to do is to make sure that her body, her outfit, her hair is the best that it can be. And I'm gonna be working with the Liquify tool. So I'm just gonna be tweaking a little bit more of the shape of her body, the contour, of also making the hair a little bit more full, a little bit different, making sure that the lines of the body here, it's a little bit straight and rounded as well, because it is better for the eye. So I'm just gonna go and put all the layers together in one layer. So I'm gonna press Command Option Shift E on the keyboard. And now I have the photo in one layer. So far this is our before and this is our after, before and after. This is like looking exactly like a magazine photo now, and this is what we love. And here I'm gonna write Liquify. I'm also gonna actually put on the folder and I'm gonna type in Liquify so I know what we are doing. To open the photo on the Liquify, you can go to Filter and click Liquify, or you can also press Command-Shift-X on your keyboard and the Liquify will be open. So to start, I think that we can do this part by part. So instead of doing everything in one layer, I'm gonna separate the layers so we can actually go step by step here and make it easier for us to see the transformation that we are making with this. So I'm just gonna first adjust here her outfit. Now let me get closer. I'm gonna try to make a straight line of her outfit. And here I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more rounded as well. It's just a better shape. I'm gonna try to tuck this in a little bit. So in this other side here, I'm just gonna try to make like a little bit more straight line as well. I think this is good, and I'm gonna bring this in a little bit more. Oh, so let's see here the before and after, before and after. So I'm gonna hit OK, and this one is gonna be her shirt, her jacket. Okay, now I'm gonna duplicate this layer and I'm gonna go back to the Liquify tool, and now I'm gonna work a little bit more with her body and her shape. So to start, I wanna bring a little bit more of her neck here, and this one too. And I wanna make this line here a little bit more straight, because if we pay attention, it has a little bit of a curve right here. And I just wanted to make this a little bit straight. Just a touch, nothing too much. And I'm gonna bring just the chest a little bit closer here, and the boobs a little bit closer as well. Gonna bring more of the neck, and now the cheek, I'm just gonna bring it back a little bit. Let me see, before and after, before and after. This is good, and I'm gonna hit OK. I think that that's good for the body, so I'm gonna do here body. And another one that I'm gonna do is going to be the hair. So let's see what we can do with her hair. So to start, I think I'm gonna bring a little bit of volume here on her hair. Just a little bit. And here I want to bring more volume as well. Let me see if here, maybe like that. And let me adjust this part here as well. Maybe I'm going too far. So just trying to make the same shape here in one side to the other. But I think I went too far. Let's see the before and after. So here's the before and here's the after. Before and after. Wow, I actually do like it. See here again, before and after. Before and after. I think I went too much with this side here. So let me just go back a little bit. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's looking perfect. So this is good for me. Now here's the before and after. You might think that I went too far or you wouldn't do a little bit less, but this is more a personal taste and I like the way that it is so far. One more thing that I'm gonna try here as well, I'm gonna put everything in another layer. So I'm gonna press Command Option Shift E on the keyboard and I'm gonna go and press Command T and I wanna change a little bit of the perspective of the photo. So I'm just going to bring this a little bit forward here. It's a little bit down. I'm gonna press OK and I'm just gonna see if I think that this is better. Okay, and now let me just press Command T again and I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger. Trying to see what I like better about the perspective of the photo, because I feel like she's leaning a little bit backward, but I think that this looks very good. It looks like her body, like her chest area and her head, it's more balanced about size, because it's also, it has to do with the lens that I was using when I took the photo. With the angle, it has to do with a lot of things. So I think that this is good. Let's see the before and after. I think that this is looking pretty good. Yes, I'm gonna keep it like this. And now, let me just put this in a folder as well, and I'm gonna just do perspective. Perspective. There is, oh my gosh, don't know how to write. Perspective. I think that that's right? Another thing that I noticed here is this part here that we can see a little bit of the bra or the outfit that's under the shirt. So I wanted to fix this. And I'm gonna select, I'm actually gonna go with the pen and select here the shirt. Just gonna create a contour here. I'm gonna create a selection. So make a selection. I think feather of 2 or 3. 3 is good. And I'm gonna go with the stamp tool, and I'm going just to remove this. I need to be selected in the photo. Okay. So I'm gonna remove the selection. So the feather was too much. I'm gonna go back. Let me make the selection again. I need the pen. Make selection, and I'm actually gonna do 1 then and see how this works. Okay, now this is better. I still feel like it has a little bit of the feather was too strong. Maybe 0 will be better. So what I'm going to do is go to the patch tool, and I'm gonna make a selection here of this area. It's kind of blurry, and I'm just gonna drag it to here, saying that I want this to be a little bit more straight. Just gonna fix this part here. Perfect. Now we are going to start the process of manipulating our photo in a sense of color and probably some lighting at the end as well. And I want us to think a little bit of the color theory, the color wheel. So the color wheel is this circle here that has a bunch of colors. The color theory just showed how you can combine colors in a sense that it works very well. It has harmony between the colors. One thing that I want to do is to make this accessory here to pop up a little bit more. And I want the color of this accessory to be more of the attention of the photo. So let's see the color of the accessory. And I'm gonna hit OK. And I can see that the color of the accessory is in between the pink and the red. So we can work, thinking about the color theory, we can work with colors that are close to each other. So this range of colors here. We can work as well with complementary colors. So complementary color would be color that it's in the opposite side of the color that you are seeing here. So we have the pink, and the opposite color would be this green cyan here, teal blue. So we can work with that. The way that I want to work, since I have the color of the accessory, and I also have her skin that it would be around here, let's see. So it's right between orange and kind of red. One thing that we can do is choosing 3 colors that works very well with the skin tone and with the accessory. So the accessory color is around here. The skin tone is around here. And we can go in the between the colors in the opposite side of the color wheel and work with the color in here. So it will be around in the between the blue and the green, kind of a cyan teal color. And this will make this color here to pop up more, the color of the skin and the color of the accessory. So I think I want to do something more towards the 3 colors. So having a little bit something bluish with something a little bit orangish from the skin color, and something a little bit pinkish because it is the color of the accessory. So now I want us to make everything to have a little bit more harmony. And the way that I want to do the colors would be by the accessories and the lipstick to have kind of the same color. They have this pinkish color, but the lipstick is a little bit going more towards the magenta than actually the red. So I want to change a little bit of the color of the lipstick. And another thing that I want to do is to work, for example, her outfit, we can bring some blue. The background, we can bring some blue as well. And I think that that's what I want to do as well. Another thing that we can do, we are going to be seeing while we are working, but I might want to make even her skin to be a little bit more bluish, just to make the accessory to stand out more. everything that it has a cooler color, so blue, a little bit more green, it tends to be more a second color that you look less than colors that are warmer. So for example, red and yellow, they tend to pop up more than the blue colors, the dark colors, the cold colors. Let's just start our color grading and see what we can do with this. And I'm gonna create a folder, so I'm just gonna click here and I'm gonna say color grading. I am going to start with the lipstick, I think. I'm gonna put all the photos together first. So Command Option Shift E and all the layers are together. Now I'm gonna use the quick selection and I'm gonna just do her lips. And it's okay if it's not perfect. You can work this in the masking later with the brush. I think I'm even gonna have her teeth around here. So I'm gonna go and create a hue saturation. Actually, I'm gonna create, I'm gonna try with solid color and I'm gonna select a color right here. And I'm gonna press OK. Now I'm gonna change the blending mode to color and see how I feel about this. Okay, now let's make this selection a little bit better. Let's remove the teeth from the selection, for example, so we can see better what's happening here. I'm gonna go with the flow 100%, and I'm gonna have a very soft brush. And I'm gonna go lower with the opacity. And I'm just gonna slightly remove like around here. Just make sure that the transition is being very soft. I'm gonna do this around the lips as well. Just to make sure that the selection is kind of fading a little bit. Perfect. So it does look more like the color here on the accessory, but I still do not like this color very much. So let me just find a different color that I think that works best. And we are still gonna work a little bit better with the color here. I think this one matches better the color here. So I'm gonna reduce the opacity 100%. She has a lot of like this pink color that's very intense. So it's going to be good just to change this a little bit. And I think that, let me see, 80%. I think 80% worked pretty good, pretty well. And it's matching the color perfectly. So this is perfect. Let's change the name here to lips tones. Perfect. And now it's already better. Our color is the color of the photo already. It is already better just by changing this pink color that has nothing to do with the rest of the photo. And it's more in harmony right now. So now let's select the jacket and let's bring some blue, kind of green to the jacket and see how it works. I'm gonna make a selection here. I'm gonna select the layer of the photo and I'm just gonna select here her outfit. And I'm gonna create another hue saturation actually tab. And for this one, I'm gonna hit colorize and I'm gonna go towards the blue. Let me bring more saturation to the photo and a little bit more light to the jacket. And I'm gonna try to find something around here because it works right in between the colors that we are working with. So Could be something more like bluish like this, kind of right in between the green and the blue. I think like here might be good. Now we can work with the color. We don't need to be that saturated. Remove the saturation a little bit. We can make it a little bit darker. I think like this is actually good. Okay, lighter. So what happens is, now that I brought some light to the jacket, I lost a little bit of the contrast of the outfit. So I'm gonna create a curve layer, and I'm gonna press this option here just to attach this layer to everything that I do to this layer, actually put the effect in the lower layer, in the hue saturation layer. And let's rename this hue saturation layer tones so we know what it is. And let's go back now to our curves, and I'm just gonna bring down the layer a little bit and maybe bring up this part a little bit. I think it's looking way better now. We have some contrast, more realistic. Perfect. Now we need to make sure that our selection here of the jacket is good. So I'm gonna go with the brush, and I can see here that it's not very good. I need to make this better. So I'm gonna just work on the selection here, and let's go with the brush. I'm gonna reduce hardness to 50, that's good. I'm gonna go a little bit up with the opacity, and I'm just gonna remove a little bit of the, I think I'm gonna go 20 actually, make a little bit more soft. Yeah, and I'm just gonna go around. Sometimes I like to paint a little bit more and then start removing it. And I just like to go slowly, like painting around. So just be patient with this part here. It's a process. Now we have here our color of the shirt. One thing that it's bothering me that I forgot to do it before is just to clean a little bit of the jacket. So I'm gonna do this right now. I'm gonna go with the spot healing brush, and in this layer here, I'm just gonna clean this really quick. Actually, let me go back to the layer. I'm gonna deselect the all layers here, and I'm just gonna clean this. Okay, here's the before and after. So another thing that I will need to fix later is this part here of the photo. When I changed the perspective of the photo didn't occupy the whole range of the photo, the whole space. So I will need to fix this later. But right now, let's go back to the color grading. The effects are not in the folder, so let me put everything in the folder. And seeing the before and after here, we can see that the color grading is already acting and it's looking pretty good. It's making more sense for the color here of the accessory, and it's already making the accessory to stand out a little bit more than before. So now let's work with the background and let's change the color of the background. For that, I'm gonna duplicate this layer here, and I'm gonna go to the selection, select subject. I'm gonna create a mask. Automatically, everything that's not the subject is gonna be hidden. And between the layers, I'm gonna go to hue saturation, and I can use solid color, or I can go to hue saturation. Let me see. I think I'm gonna go to solid color, and I'm gonna click here in this color that's kind of the opposite of the colors that we are working with. I'm gonna hit OK, and I think that's looking really good. We can also change the blending mode to color only, and now the background that we had before is not a plain background. It's like the background that we had before. It's like with the sheet. I do like it. Now we are making this color to pop up more than before. So if we look the before and after, the color changing, we can see that everything in our photo already changed. The mood of the photo, and I do really like this bluish. It's more colorful. It seems even more like young. It has more youth to the photo. It's more light. The photo looks like more light, less serious, because she has this outfit here, this professional jacket that looks more serious for more mature audience. And now we are doing something that it has more youth to the photo, more light feelings to the photo. So this is something that is very important when you're thinking about the audience that you wanted to reach as well, your target audience. Also, it brings more happiness to the photo because it has more color. It's less serious. So I really do like this, and now for sure the color of the accessory is popping up more, and also because the lipstick, we match the lipstick with the accessory color. So if we remove the lipstick, it's not working as well. When we match the color, it works way better. Now, one thing that I want to try to do, I think that I really do like the background like this, that's not plain 100%, that has some kind of weird looking weird like shape to it. I think that it brings more youth to the photo. One thing that I can do as well is just try to work a little bit of the background and make maybe this part here I can make a little bit more flat. So what I'm going to do is to duplicate this layer 6 here, and I'm gonna write background texture. I'm gonna say it like this. This one is the background tones. And on the texture, I can go here with the mixer brush. I'm gonna do this so I can show you things that you can do as well. And I'm just gonna mix a little bit this part here. And now we have a little bit more of a flat background, but still having a little bit of the marks here. You can go beyond and make it more flat, or you can just have the background like how we were saying before, the background just to be like, if you go to the normal option here for the layer, you have the background to be a little bit flat like this, and then you can work some lighting. But again, I do like to have the kind of the texture on the background that's not 100% flat, and I like that a lot. So let me go back to the background texture here. I think I can just work a little bit more, but I kind of like this kind of weird, texture. I think that now it's looking better though. I like the way that it's looking. So here's the before and here's the after, before and after. I think that now it's looking better. Let's see what else we can do. Oh, I'm gonna actually, so this is the color grading. I think that, let's see the before and after so far. Before and after, we transformed the photo. So you can look at this photo and you can imagine this photo in a magazine already. And we are not done with the photo yet. One thing that I wanna try is to see if I can make her skin to be a little bit more bluish to make the accessory pop up even more. So what I want to try here is I'm going to combine all the layers. So Command Option Shift E, and now I'm going to bring I'm going to open the camera raw. So I'm going to press Command Shift A, and the camera raw will open. Another way that you can do this is by going to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. There we go. What I want to do now is actually tweak a little bit of the temperature and bring a little bit more of the bluish tone to the photo to make this accessory to pop up even more. So I'm just gonna tweak a little bit of this. Yes, like that, something like this. I think I like it a lot, so I'm gonna hit OK. And I think that that looks absolutely amazing. I'm gonna create a mask and see if removing the accessory from this blue color will make it pop up even more. So I have the black option here. I'm gonna go 100%, and I'm just gonna paint kind of rough, just do something raw here and just take the color away from the accessory. See how this works? And now I'm gonna also take it away from the lipstick. So before and after, before and after. Now it's looking way better. And I do like that her skin has some bluish tone. I know that it's not realistic, but again, I'm working with a magazine style photography, is like a style that I like to work. It makes more sense to have this blue tone and to have this cooler vibe, because again, this pinkish, reddish color will pop up more. And the idea here is to make the accessory to stand out from the whole photo. and I think that it's looking pretty good. I really like the results that we got with the color grading. We can also work a little bit with the lighting as well. And another thing actually that I'm gonna do, just one more adjustment. I'm gonna name here blue temperature. I think I spelled that right? I'm not sure. Well, whatever. So I'm actually gonna go to selective color, and I wanna adjust a little bit more of the blue, maybe see what we can get with this color, selective color, and actually work a little bit as well with the contrast of the photo. Even though I like it right now, I wanna bring something extra. We have the highlights of her face. The highlights has a little bit of this yellowish tones because it is for her skin, but I want to try to make something a little bit more bluish and see what happens if we do that. And for that, we are gonna select the whites because now I want to work with the brightest part of the photo. So if I go here on the black, I'm gonna be working with the luminosity. So let me go to 0, and I'm gonna make this luminosity just a little bit more intense. I think here's good. And I'm gonna try to bring a little bit of the cyan as well to the luminosity, to the highlight. So I'm just gonna drag this to the right, and I can see that I bring more blue. And if I drag this to the left, I'm gonna bring more of the red. And now I feel like if I do the red, I'm kind of competing a little bit with the accessory. So that's why I want to try to bring some blue to the highlight tones, but something very slight. I think 3 maybe. Let me see before and after. Let me get closer so we can see better. Before and after, before and after. I see just a little bit of the color. I'm gonna remove some yellow and bring the blue here as well. So before and after. Now we can see a better result here. Before and after, before and after. So I think that it's looking pretty good. I can even intensify a little bit more of the color, but I think I like better the cyan. So I'm gonna just do like 4. I'm gonna just make it a little bit, let me see, a little bit lighter, intensify the whites here. I think that it's looking pretty good. It's giving more contrast to our photo. Another thing that I wanna do, I'm gonna go to blacks, and I'm gonna go and try to bring some more blue actually to the dark areas. So if I go here, you can see where I'm working. It's gonna be most in her hair and also here around the jacket. So I'm gonna make this 0, and I'm just gonna be something very, very soft. I like to actually bring maybe more cyan, or let me see the blue. The blue, I think that the blue looks good too. So let me see here, -2 and 2 here. Before and after. So I'm creating more contrast to the photo just by changing the colors. And I'm also intensifying a little bit more of our color grading, which is beautiful. Now I'm gonna go to cyan, and we can tweak the color as well of the cyan here as much as we want. I'm just trying to see if there is anything that it looks a little bit better. I think I like how it is, so I'm not gonna tweak anything with that. Let me see if we have blues here. It is in the jacket. I think I'm not gonna mess around with any of that. We can go to reds as well, and we can see everything that we are gonna be tweaking with red. So I'm gonna be tweaking her skin and her accessory. I think that I'm not gonna do anything with it because I want her skin to have this bluish color tones that we were talking about before. So this is so far, we created a little bit more contrast with the selective color and brought a little bit more bluish tones to the highlight. I'm also gonna copy this mask here from the blue temperature, and I'm gonna paste here, just so I make sure that the color of the accessory is still the same. So here's the before and after. If you think that is too much, again, just lower the opacity and slowly bring this layer, the opacity of the layer up. I think here is good, 60%. I think it looks pretty good. And I think that our color grading for this photo is gonna be this. I think that it looks pretty good. I'm really impressed with the results that we got so far. This is the before and this is the after. Now let's put all the layers together and let's do the finishing touch. First, I need to fix this thing here that's wrong. So I'm gonna go to Liquify and I'm gonna press Command Shift X, or you can go to filter and click on Liquify. And I just wanna make sure here that this is fixed and this side as well. Gonna hit OK. Another thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring a little bit of a different lighting for this photo. I wanna bring a little bit of make the around of the photo a little bit darker, so our eyes goes to the center of the photo, but not something that is too intense. It's just something that's slightly bringing our attention to the middle of the photo, and especially to the accessory. Another thing that I wanna do is to make the photo to have more sharpness to it. Let's start first with the lighting. Let's just finishing modifying our lighting here. So I'm actually gonna go and do that with the camera raw. So I'm gonna press Command Shift A. And I'm gonna go to the mask, try on my own. I'm gonna create a radial gradient mask. And I'm gonna make something kind of rounded like this. And I'm gonna click on invert. And the feather, I think 50% might be good. Okay, I'm gonna stop visualizing the overlay. And I'm just gonna go down with the exposure a little bit. Too strong. Let me get out of the mask here. Before and after, before and after. I think it was too much, so I'm gonna go back to the mask and I'm gonna go a little bit less here on the lighting. Let me get out of the mask. So here's the before and after, before and after. I think it's looking better. I'm gonna just go higher on the feather here of the mask. Just a little bit. And let's see, before and after. Before and after. I think that this is looking good. Okay. And this is everything that's hitting on. Perfect. So here's our before and after again. I'm gonna hit OK. And I didn't create a different layer for that, huh? So I'm gonna write here lighting as well, because we fixed the lighting as well, and this is good. And now I'm gonna create another layer here. And this layer is gonna be contrast. I'm just gonna bring a little bit of contrast to the photo. Let me see. And bring up a little bit of the brightness of the photo. I think I'm gonna go down with the contrast though, 5. Okay, I think this is perfect. So I'm gonna put both of this in one folder and I'm gonna be name lighting retouch. Perfect. So here's the before and after. And to finish our photo, let's bring some sharpness and volume to the photo. So I'm gonna press Command Option Shift E to bring all the layers together in one layer. And now what we are going to do is first, I'm gonna duplicate this layer and I'm gonna rename volume. There we go. Now I'm gonna go to filter and we are gonna go to noise, to sharpen, unsharp mask. And right here is where we are gonna bring the volume of the photo. So if we go and work with the amount, this is making our photo to have more of a bumps, more like a 3D look. But of course that when we put too much, like a higher amount of the, a bigger number, a percentage of the amount is just too much. So what we want to do is just to bring a little bit of the volume here on the photo. And I think that 10, it's a good number. And we can play with the radial. The radials would be good to be something a little bit higher since we're bringing the volume of the photo. And I think that around here, 80, it's good. Let's see the before and after, so you can see better our photo before and after. If we get closer here, before and after, we can see how it's working. So I'm gonna hit OK. And now I'm gonna duplicate this layer. And in this layer, we are gonna bring some sharpness. Sharpen. So I'm gonna go to filter, I'm gonna go to sharpen, and we are gonna go to the same unsharp mask. And now we're gonna do the opposite. We are actually gonna bring more of the amount here because I can see like the texture. We have more texture when we do this. So let me just get closer. If we have a lower number, we don't see as much texture and we wanted to make it sharp. But this is not really good the way that it is right now. So we are gonna lower our radius and now we are seeing the photo how it is. And what we wanna do here is just to bring up the radius just a little bit. And you can see that when you start bringing up, you have more sharpness, you have more texture. So you don't wanna go too much. So I'm gonna go down to 0 and I'm just gonna slow bring this up. I'm gonna leave the amount here to 100, and this one, let me see, 1, maybe 2. I think 2 is too much. Let's do 1. I'm gonna hit OK. And here's the before and after. It is strong. So what I'm going to do now, I'm gonna delete this layer here. I'm gonna put both layers together. Command G to create a folder. I'm gonna right here sharpen. And I want to create first a mask for this, and I'm gonna press Command I because this part we are gonna select the area where we wanna our photo to be sharp. Because one thing that you need to think of is that, for example, this eye here is in focus and this one is not. So you don't want to make this part as sharp as this one, for example. You want this to be like kind of blurry because it is how it's supposed to be. But one thing that you need to think of is what you want to bring attention to. So I do want to bring attention to this part here, like to her eye and to the accessory. So normally what I do with the sharpen, the most photos I do like the face and the hair, and I leave the rest of the photo like without the sharpening because that's what matters for me right now. But for this photo, let's just see, I'm gonna have 100%. I'm gonna do the whole face here. I'm gonna have a white color because I want to show the effect. And I'm just gonna do the whole face here and see in the hair and see how it looks like, if I like it. So this is the before and this is the after, before and after. I actually think that it looks pretty good, but I'm gonna go back and I'm actually gonna go with the opacity of 50%. I'm gonna do the whole face again here, and I'm just gonna intensify it a little bit more here on the accessory. So I want here to be like 100% of the effect. And I'm also going to do a little bit more on her eye and her eyebrow here. And I'm gonna do like really quick, just like this part here, because it's all on focus as well. There we go. So here's the before and after. Let me get even closer. Before and after, before and after. Another place that we can also bring a little bit more, it is on her lips, because it is on focus. And this part here of her nose as well. So here's the before and here's the after, before and after. And again, if you think that it's too strong, you can work with the opacity. So lower the opacity, go up until you think it's good. For me, 100% is good. I don't think that's too strong. One more thing that I would do before we completely finish the photo that I just thought about it right now is to remove a little bit of the blue color on her eye. So what I'm going to do is to create a new layer here. I'm gonna go to hue and saturation. I'm gonna select here the brush. Actually, I'm gonna go with the brush. I'm gonna paint the mask to black. So just press Command I on your keyboard. And now with opacity of 100, I'm just gonna paint here her eye. And now I'm gonna go back here, click on the effect, and I'm gonna remove a little bit of this cyan blue color here. Let me click and see the colors. So the blue. So I'm just gonna reduce this a little bit because we want her eye to still have the white color, right? We don't want it to look weird. So I'm just gonna make this here better. And I'm gonna make this even a little bit lighter. Before and after, I think it was too much. So actually I'm gonna go back with the lightness here. Just renaming the layer. I think that I can even go back to blues and reduce a little bit more of the saturation there and bring this just slightly brighter. Before and after. Perfect. Let me go to cyan. Actually, I'm gonna go back to blue and I'm just gonna make this, bring the cyans as well, because I still think that there was some bluish cyan color here on her eye and I don't want that. So now we have removed all the bluish color on her eye. This is perfect. Let's see the before and after. I'm so proud of us. This is the before, here's the after, before and after. And this is our photo, you guys. We finally completed our photo after, I don't even know how long I've been editing this photo. Of course, that explaining step by step and doing it and talking, it takes way longer than it would take for me to work on this photo. But I really like the results. I think that we got something pretty good. This is the before and this is the after. Look at the difference. I definitely see this photo in a magazine and this photo is definitely not good. We fixed a lot of things here and we brought more youth to the photo and it has a beautiful color grading. I'm really excited with the results that we got. And I really want to know what you think about the result. Please leave a comment below so I know what if you like it, if you don't, what you would do different. If you had anything that I actually did here that you just didn't know how to do it and actually I helped you somehow, I would love to know this. So, but here it is, the result of our photo. I'm really proud of us. So this is the before and this is the after. Now you know how to completely retouch your photo. I've done this step by step with you. Click the like button if you like the results of the photo. If you want to know other ways to improve your skills to make more money with photos, check out my latest video here on the screen. Also, subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every week. For now, this is everything. I hope that this video was really helpful for you. Until next time.